Okay, so here we are with corporate America a little bit more, and we're entering our second presidency, but first elected one. This guy has a certain power in his hands that doesn't play until we get back into the Capitol Hill phase, I guess. He's got a business in hand. He's going to get to draw two new, and we start here with the new president. Gets two new businesses. He's going to have to choose one to get rid of. And then he can only start one unless he has some special ability. This one doesn't count. This only counted the turn he got to play it, to add a new business. Now, the question is, does he want to go for a synergy? He could get an extra energy here, green energy in fact. Or does he want to worry about maybe expanding more? He's got an extra health here. Discover your hidden Silicon Valley. This one is probably the least interesting in and of itself, but we've seen things like the wilderness protection, which puts a penalty on housing, are out of the way. So that might be a positive card along with this. I think I'm going to pitch the rhinoplasty. But I'm going to bring this one into play because it gets me some synergy. And that's going to run me $10 to play. We got tons of money. Now, one important thing is, this is still the second phase in the game. It's worth buying more expensive properties, perhaps. You have to buy a new business each turn. But it may not be worth it in the final phase of the game, say the fourth play after all these cards are gone, because you're taking a risk there that this will pay off. Now, for example, this one cost me $10. It only makes 6 on each hit. And unless I get multiple hits, I'm going to lose money starting that company. But my chances of multiple hits are a lot higher at this point in the game because I'll be going around the table a few more times. I'm going to start filling out everybody's portfolio of companies. I don't see a reason to go into detail on every decision there. So I'll come back with what we have. The choices other people made. This guy picked up a job creator in Startup Labs. That's not right, is it? He didn't pay enough. He should be paying $15 and it only makes $4 in industry. But the advantage of this is he gets to look at 3 business cards. Let's get his $15 out. And pay to start another company out of that pile. And that'll take effect now simply because I've already done the other powers. We'll get that. He looks at 3 of these and he can buy an extra business at once. Now this is a lot of money to pay for this, but that special ability is quite powerful. It gets you another thing in there. So let's see what we get here. More technology. We're getting a real synergy in technology if we buy that. More media with bonuses from the consumer cards on that. That's impressive, but this has health. And the mobile mansions, that doesn't look as interesting. So the question is here, do I want to pay $10 for this pharmacy or just $6 for this with its sponsorship? I'm going to take the audibly antiquated vinyl because I'm not, remember, money is the victory condition in this game. And I think my profits to earning are better on that. And that gets rid of these 2. And yes, I don't get that huge technology bonus, but I have a bigger media bonus than I would otherwise. A lot of people have media though, so I may be less inclined to draw for that. On the other hand, I get more draws if I can kick off cheaper consumer cards. So for example, these 2 together would allow me to get the first card for nothing The second card is still going to cost 10.8 though. So that may not be too valuable, but I get to draw 2 cards because the presidency's over here. So it seems worthwhile at this point. This guy will get $4 whenever environmental legislation is passed. In addition, well, he's adding another type of consumer there. $5, he gets synergy going. Synergy's always good. $5 synergy, $4 for conservative, good old Fox News. Okay, we got to mispronounce that just because. And he also gets the reduced consumer cards. That's always a good thing early in the game. As the game starts going on, you're going to get less triggerings of that, so it becomes more important to worry about the price to earnings ratios on each of the cards, I think. Over here, $4, again a media. Businesses don't count as being either labor or polluting. Well, he doesn't have that problem. He has some in his hand. And then he also gets the reduced consumer cards, which is really why he played it. He had some other interesting choices in his hands, in particular some synergy there, but some synergy here with the think tank where he could steal businesses from this guy's hand. This guy's the clear leader right now. Everybody's out to get him. All right, that puts us to the end of Wall Street. And we go over to Main Street. We know the decision making involved in choosing the consumer cards. Now remember, if you don't get one, if you don't get a choice that's terribly clear to you, you can kind of put it up for auction. In fact, maybe you could be bought off even in one that is clear to you if it's really advantageous to someone else to transfer that money. This is a game with a lot of little deals available in it. Unlike, say, Monopoly with its couple of big deals, this is one where you can continually try to rebalance things. And in that rebalancing, everybody sees he's in the lead, so they're really unlikely to give him good deals in any direction here. But they may work together in order to get better deals. Well, we've been working our way around the board. We're up to this guy now, and he drew an interesting protest. Before we get to that in a moment, people have been kind of playing out just self-interest. Nobody's really been making any deals. That self-interest has worked well in not helping him terribly. Except for his own pick for energy, he hasn't been getting selections that really help him. And he doesn't have strong concentrations. Automobile, he's got 2 of them. Power, he's got 2. But he's not... Being in the lead means he kind of does want to spread out anyhow, so that he gets some value from everything, because he's probably not going... If he consolidates in one industry, everybody else will avoid that and try to hit that industry and hurt it. So he's in a good position for having jumped to the lead. Anyway, for this, it's just going to go up here. Now what it means is if another law like this shows up, it'll have to be passed with this anti-corporate ability. But this one's already come up. And this guy's going to get a second choice. And we'll take a quick peek at what he wants to do. Uh-oh, he doesn't have either of these. He spent a couple of bucks on his draw, so he got 2. He doesn't have either of these. Over here, he doesn't see either of them for anyone else. So now the question is, well, who's going to pay me to do what? This guy has double sin, double happiness. He's probably okay with either way. Sorry, entertainment. This guy's got entertainment. This guy's got a couple entertainment. He might be willing to chuck a buck in for the entertainment industry. Now, a buck, does that make sense? Well, not really, because that's going to give me 14 bucks. I want more than that, right? So this guy is going to get 13 versus 10. So I'd ask a buck from him to not make it sin. A buck from him to not make it sin. And $5 from him. And unless you all pay up, it's going to be sin. Are they all willing to pay up? That's a decent payout. It kind of splits the money he's getting. 12 bucks, 5 of it's going to him. He's making a total of 7 off this deal if it comes out, whereas I'm only making 7 as well. So he's kind of putting the screws on everyone here. basically, this guy's the guy who has the hardest choice to make, and he's going to go along with it, and I think the others probably will as well. This guy certainly will. Will he? You know, it hurts other people somewhat. Yeah, he'll go along with it too. So the money will be transferred, and we'll be seeing happiness rather than sin. Costume entertainment. Only fools and horses work. Another interesting choice comes up for this guy. He got teabaggers here. Anti-government, I guess. Guess that right. Transportation and technology. Now he has a transportation of $5. This guy is gonna, and this is the leader here, has 12, 13, 14 from the synergy. Whereas this guy here has 4, 8, 14, $19 because of the synergy in technology. I asked for $5 from him. Makes up the money I don't make. He refused. I turned to him and asked for $5 for the automobile, and he refused. This guy's got automobiles too. He'll be getting 6. This guy's got automobiles. They don't particularly want to see him succeed, but they certainly don't want to hand that kind of money over to him. I'm going to ask for less from him, say $3. And he's refusing. He's saying, make up your own mind. I make a few bucks from technology too. I don't care. If you want to slit your wrists to hurt me and help him, go for it. $3 doesn't make up for my total losses. Let's see if he'll go a little lower. Yeah, he's willing to go with the $3 for the technology. Well, I lose a couple of bucks, but I'm costing him more, and I'm costing some other people more. So I'm willing to take $3 from him. And now he's kind of grumpy about it. Will he overbid? Yeah, he says, I'll give you 4. I wouldn't give you 3 before, but I'll give you 4 now. Do we take it, or do we say the hell with you? Yeah, you know, we're going to take that. You willing to match? Yeah, he's willing to go 4. You willing to go 5, dude? Yeah, I'll go to the 5. What about you? That was what our original offer was. Yeah, I'll go to 5. All right, now it's getting sick, right? Because I've got this bidding war going on. Do other people want to get involved? Not particularly. They see he's going to make money. This guy might be willing to throw in for the technology, but not really. This guy's making a pile. You willing to go to 6? 6 is becoming, it's starting to become kind of silly here, because we're talking 12, 14 bucks versus $4. I'm only making a $10 increase, but I'm taking money away from him. Of course, I'm spreading money out to everyone else. I would say only on a 1 will he go to 6. The $5 was a good deal. He's going to take the $5 from him for the technology. Jeez, I forgot about Twimper here. There have been 2 protests launched. I get $3 each for those suckers. Just an extra little bonus for having Twitter or whatever. And now we're back on him. Does he want to pay to try to generate what he's going to be getting? Again, it costs $4 for him to do so, but I think he does. I think he wants control over one of these final couple cards. If he just draws a card, he's stuck with whatever it is. At least with $4, he's got, you know, some ability to direct it towards the things that make him money again. Another little deal making, this time in the hands of the guy who's ahead. He's got homes and nobody on the board. Oh no, this guy does. This guy's going to produce $8 with homes. He has to give $2 to an energy producer, though, if he does so. We got an energy producer up there and one over here. That's an interesting concept. He can give it to somebody who's not in the lead. Entertainment, on the other hand, says there's a lot of money out there for entertainment. This guy, a little bit. He's pulling in 12, 14 from the synergy. and he's pulling in 15, including synergy. Now his 14 is minus $2, and in a sense, the homes don't count, so he's only really gaining $4 for it. Whereas this guy is really racking in extra money. The gaining $4 is because he's got $8 from this. So if he's making 14 minus 8 is 6. I think I'm deducting that twice. Essentially 14 minus 8 is 6. So he's making $6 off of it, the 4 here plus the synergy. Okay. I can't ask for much though. I think what I'm going to ask for is $3 and $1. That's a deal that I don't think they can refuse. And that guy certainly, well, let's see. Yeah, they're willing to pay it. And I think that gives him a kind of nice exchange where he's getting a little bit of money on some of the players, not making this guy the only guy going ahead. However, can I insist on the $2 bonus? No, I don't think I can insist on that. I don't think I could enforce that if I did insist on it, essentially, because that comes after the agreement situation, however that's going to work. So yeah, 3 and 1 sounds good to me. But if you give me the 2, you don't have to give me the 1 as a spare. Interesting concept. Nah, he's not going with it. He'll spend the extra $2 over there. Is that a bad move? Probably. So as we finish up the Main Street phase, we have a finance one come up. No real deals available on that. This guy picked 2. He had a choice between finance and health. Nobody was terribly interested in one over the other. For example, this guy makes $4 on each. Nobody makes health. This guy makes a little bit on finance, but a lot of other people do too. What's kind of interesting about the finance ones tend to have these special abilities that are kind of cool. You can start something new, blah, blah, blah. But they don't make a good income compared to their price. So this costs $8 to build, but only $4 to create. But it gives you this additional business in play. So overall, it might be a kind of cool thing, especially early in the game, as I was saying. Now we're on to the legislation, and we're done with these. And again, I'll turn up the first 6. Remember, the last 2 come up after the president's elected. Public health fees. Whenever a sin or polluting business makes money, its owner must give $2 to health. It's an interesting one. Helps handle Christian and environmental, neither of which are up there, so that's not. We got an anti-government, the filibuster. Quick way to handle getting rid of that if we need to. And environmental, that's not really up there. $15 between players who own green business. Remember though, we got this bar the revolving door, and that cannot be gotten rid of. Normally the president can throw away a single law, but this one cannot be gotten rid of unless some special, either a legislation or an executive privilege allows you to get rid of it. Living wages. Labor is at -2. Things with a labor penalty on them, like this one. And it helps liberal and Christian, neither of which are up there. Indecent behavior fines. Players pay $8 for each sin they own. Helps conservatives and Christians. Again, neither of them are up there. This could be a good way to hit someone like this guy. That's a big hunk of change that you're penalized. $16. These don't count as labor polluting, but sin doesn't hurt him there. And then our final one, an environmental law, greenwash government, green businesses get +2, which he'd love. Not a lot to target him with. In fact, the greenwash, I'll give a bonus to one of his businesses. And the filibuster looks like it's almost guaranteed to pass. There's nothing that'll get rid of the Occupy movement. So as we move into the campaign trail rounds, we're in an interesting position here, which is that we have a couple of different proposals kind of on the table at this point. This one kind of died. He couldn't get any support, which means if he elects himself, he was going with an anti-sin tax type thing. He would oppose this and oppose this. This was from this guy seeking support here, but he also kind of was saying, I'll be kind of against this living wages. The two are both focused on the living wages issue. Both are opposed to it. Who would be in favor of passing that is a good question, because that's against labor in particular, and a number of people have some labor association, really everyone but him. He's the only person who's really opposed to that. He couldn't find a coalition to agree on that. Coalition number one over here said he would trade the anti-sin, or he would be somewhat in favor of a sin tax. Maybe not the big one. Trying to convince this guy not to go against him. But, you know, this might get passed. Likewise, maybe I'd pass a green, whatever. But the filibuster has to go in. And his view was the public health fees have to go. Have to be part of this. So that's kind of where we're sitting. And the president gets to open things up. Now, he's somewhat in favor of opposition to the living wages in order to try to avoid this public health fees thing. He wants to stay in this, I guess. This is vaguely to his advantage. So he's going to push a buck over on Coalition 1 here with the thought of, you know, if I get that, it's worth a couple of bucks to me to get him the executive privilege, but I'm not sure it's really worth a lot. Elsewhere, does this guy want to play or pass is kind of the question. And one of the things is, hey, if there's not a lot of support for these coalitions, maybe I can go it alone? Oh. Let's see what he does. Yeah, he wants to be involved in this. He's more in favor of the anti-labor. They're both anti-labor, so either one's okay with him. Does he want to really put money in for this election? I said a yes here. The only thing I can think of is going for himself. He'll put a buck in on his own, but that's a victory point that he's throwing away if he doesn't sleaze the victory. We'll see what happens. This guy has to stay in. This is his coalition. He can't not put a buck in. But as to this guy, oh, this guy was in favor of Coalition 2, not Coalition 1. Oh, this is Coalition 2. Great. Okay. This guy also wants to stay in. He agreed with Coalition 1. But now the interesting stuff is, what about these guys who didn't really commit and aren't terribly interested? Anti-labor? Okay. Let's see if he'll stay in. He's interested. He's interested. He's in direct opposition of this guy. This guy's got the most to gain by going it alone. I think I too want to stay in, at least for a little while. And I'm going to put a buck into Coalition 1 here. I wasn't committed to it, but when it's starting to look like it's falling out, what I don't want to see is I don't want to see the sin taxes left alone. Although I'm a little disturbed by this, the pollution that goes here. You know what? I'm just not that interested. that puts it on this guy. Now this guy's real interested in the sin issue. But he too is going to stay out of this election cycle. Thinks maybe by keeping a low profile, not too much will be passed. He should be supporting 2, but there's no commitment here or here on 2. He just doesn't feel like there's anything that can protect him except running all on his own. And he's not willing to chance that. So we go back to round 2. We're on the president here, who's kind of favoring stance number 2, but maybe not terribly interested. He's going to back out as well. He doesn't think it's that terrible. The opposition of this is fine. This isn't that big a hit. In fact, he's the only person with health interest, so pulling out of it sounds okay. Puts us back to this guy. Now, he's got something to gain by going onward. He knows he's going to be fighting against him, though. And someone else was in Coalition 1, aren't they? This guy. How big a deal is it to them? Somewhat pro-sin. Somewhat pro-sin fees. I would like to win, but I'm not willing to spend if he's not willing to help me. I just don't think I can. Puts it to him. He's saying, I don't think there's a lot there. I'll put another buck in. This guy says, I've supported you enough. I'm in favor. Now we swing around to the third bid and there's only one person in here. Does he feel like he needs to put more money into play? Yeah, he does. How much could be here? There could be a lot there. This isn't worth a lot of money to him, though. He doesn't want to go too high. That could be maybe 6. He's thinking he's got... He knows what he's put in, which is 2. He thinks he's got 3 total. Does putting 4 make sense to him? No. How about 3? No. 2 more? Yeah, he'll go 2 more bucks just to help ensure his victory. Thinks he's got it, and indeed he does. As we go to the Capitol Hill phase, we reveal, and we have a new president over here. That new president immediately gets an executive privilege, and that's what his bucks cost him. Cult of Personality. Now, this guy chose not to use his because he's not really interested in this one. Cult of Personality, use it as a player's choosing a consumer card. Force the card that you wish to be played instead. That may be worth $5. We'll see. President draws 2 legislation. Alright, what did he get here? He got an anti-corporate, which is important because that's the only thing that'll validate the Occupy Everything card. And that says choose an industry another player has synergy in. They must choose and discard a business and then take $15 from the treasury. That's a lot of money for an industry, but I've got to do that. Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, home businesses get a bonus. Nobody's too interested in that. So, my promises are not to pass the living wages, and I'm not going to break my promises. I certainly don't want to. I've got a labor interest. I've made no promises as regards to these. I said this one's interesting to me, but maybe I'd rather have that big fine. Unfortunately, I can't go with this first. I have to go with these two first. These two first. So first I'm going to pass a filibuster. That's 1. My second one, I'm required to do the break monopoly. Choose an industry another player has synergy in. That player must choose and discard a business and take 15 bucks from the treasury. Well, it has to be another player. It can't be me. You know, 15 bucks for some industries is quite worthwhile. What if I hit this guy? He would get a lot of cash for what he's doing. Who was my supporter? This guy. I'm going to say, well, actually, yeah, he could destroy this if it's that. The energy industry looks like maybe it's worth hitting. So I'm going to hit him in the energy industry. And he gets rid of solar cell. See, there's this pollution which is a danger right now. But this gives me an automotive synergy. This is a hard call, because if I get rid of this one, the pollution might just be what passes. But that's what I'm going to do. And I get 15 bucks in bonus cash for that. And now for the third one, what do I want to do? Do I want to hit this poor guy with the indecent behavior? No. I want to pass the public health fees that I was talking about. Oh, by the way, these two have been satisfied, so they're gone. And I'm going to split them up a little bit. Who knows how well I'll shuffle. Let's see if we've caused any laws to take place that affect anything here. So for example, I gotta look at some of these. Politics. Whenever $10 or more is spent on a presidential candidate, that didn't happen. I have to worry about things like that. This guy spent, it was like $6 on him. Liberal legislation. Was any liberal legislation passed? No. So he doesn't get one for his lobbying. Environmental legislation. We passed an environmental law in this one. So I get $4 for that. Kind of a nice little bonus I didn't realize I was getting. And that kicks off the remainder of the Capitol Hill. These go away. I wasn't able to get rid of the revolving door, which is a pity. That's a cool ability of being president, but it wasn't there. And we will move on to another turn. Now, there's one more turn where this is assigned, and then half a turn after that. No more campaign, but we do go through a business startup and a profit-making situation there.